do you have any ideas on any solutions for this? Because I think a lot of people like to think with these things that there's one big simple solution, but in reality, there's a lot of different things that could be done. And one off the top of my head is just looking at the root of the issue here and looking at how old should we allow children to have mobile phones and have internet access, and what should we be doing should we be monitoring children's internet access? Should we be restricting children's internet access? What else could be done for this to reduce the amount of people who become addicted to things like pornography, social media? I think in the digital age, I think novelty is quite a big problem. And I think social media mimics that of pornography in that you're getting so much novelty from these things. And I think a lot of people aren't aware of their vulnerability to at least overconsumption, but at worst, addiction.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it's exaggerated to conceptualize the phone as equivalent to a pack of cigarettes. And we wouldn't give a pack of cigarettes, to a minor, and we wouldn't advertise cigarettes to minors. We have all kinds of restrictions in place. Cigarettes are a legal drug, but we have individually, collectively, and also from a top-down level, restricted access and use. And I think that we need to do similar things with smartphones, especially when it comes to children. Remember that we are born with more neurons than we're ever going to have. And through the process of the developing brain between age 0 to 25 is essentially a slow process of pruning or cutting back the neurons that we're not using and myelinating or making more efficient the neurons that we use frequently as we develop those circuits that will become really the foundation for our adult brains. And this process especially happens, this pruning back process in early to late adolescence and continues to about age 25. So if we're learning maladaptive coping strategies, through that key neuronal development process, then we're establishing, a foundational brain structure that's not going to serve us well into adulthood. Of course, we do preserve plasticity throughout life, and the brain can continue to change and heal and all of that. But I just think it's super important that kids not have unrestricted access and unmonitored access to the internet until they're at least teenagers. And even then, that it be limited, that it be monitored, that there be active discussions about what's appropriate, safe use and what isn't, both in terms of consuming content and putting content out there. And I think this is something that we can't just leave up to parents to police. I think the schools need to step in and help us out and take phones away during class time and during the school day, create spaces where kids are learning to problem solve without necessarily using a computer to do that, learning to socialize without necessarily using a computer to do that. And then acknowledging that the vast majority of people will probably be able to self-correct and figure this out, but there will be, as with all intoxicants and drugs, a subset of individuals, about 10 to 15% in the population, who will get addicted, and that we have to make sure that we have additional resources, i.e. addiction treatment for those individuals, and that they will need a more extreme type of intervention in order to help them, because that's their drug of choice. One person's social media is another person's cocaine. And so I think we just really have to own that is true, and, do what we can.
I think the most telling thing is that the people that made these phones or the people that made these social media sites did not allow their children to use them. That's right. The most telling thing, because they know the power of what they've created. That's
right. I live here in the heart of Silicon Valley, and of course, many of our neighbors restrict their kids' phone access and phone use, and many, famous CEOs of major companies, internet companies, send their kids to special schools where they don't have computers. And so the things that, they're pushing on the general public are things that they wouldn't even let their own kids use.